Are you a pastor, preacher, or church leader? If so, this is the video for you. What's going on, family? You guys are so amazing. Here on this channel, our mission is to empower the world to never give up, one video at a time, one conversation at a time, just to help you get to the next level. If you've been following Aos.inspires for a while, you know this is the classic. Had I known, had I listened. I was talking to a pastor one day, and he was telling me, I wish I had somebody to vent to. I wish I had somebody that I can trust and talk to. So I created a podcast just to help preachers, pastors, and leaders all across the world, because these are people that you look up to. These are great minds that have been through some things in their ministry that they can lend their advice so it can help you out so that you won't follow down the same path or make the same mistakes. Because oftentimes in ministry, we feel as if the mistakes that we encounter and the bumps that we go to or that we go over, we feel as if we're all alone and we're the only one going through that situation. But I came here to let you know, there are some other great pastors, and great leaders, and preachers that are going through the same identical thing that you're experiencing on the other side of this camera. And I want to let you know, you are amazing. My prayer is that this podcast blesses your life.
Had I known, had I listened. When I think about those phrases, I think about getting married. When we got married, there were so many things that had I known, I probably would have waited a little longer. There were so many things that happened in my life when I was young. I went through molestation. We were brought up in church. And so I was in church probably 80% of my life. And so we kind of did the church thing all the time. And my church was great. I love my church. There were so many activities that I was involved in. There were so many departments. You know, I sang, I was in the choir, I danced, I did a lot of things, all while going through in silence with things that happened to me in my younger age that I never spoke of. I would even say it took away my voice. Well, with that came a lot of insecurities. I just didn't trust any longer. I had so many questions about things that had happened in my life. And so having to function, you know, in a level in church, I began to mask everything. Well, I never talked about these things. I never shared these things with anybody. And then when I began to share it with now my husband, I only shared the surface part of it. But there were so many deep-rooted things in my life, in my heart, that still needed to be dealt with. And I feel like if I had just waited a little while longer and began to share those things and become transparent about those things that I went through, there were things that I may have, or choices I would not have made in my marriage that just caused pain, and especially to my husband, but not just him, but to others that were in ministry, to others that trusted me and looked up to me to be able to share things with them. Had I known, had I listened. If I had listened to myself, I would have taken the time to get help, get emotional help, you know, become more empowered, become more secure in myself, become more love myself, you know, because I think a lot of the times it became a thing that I didn't even love myself. And so had I known, had I listened, I would have waited some time and became stronger in my emotional health, in my mental health, and in my spiritual health.
Had I known, had I listened, as a church planner in 2016 into 2017, I would never have invested more time in building the church than I did in building my family. And you'll find as a church planner, it's like trying to get a business off the ground almost. You're meeting, you're networking, you're going to different venues, different places. And sometimes because of that, my wife and my one daughter at the time, I now have two daughters, a lot of times I was gone so much that I didn't really get the opportunity to build family as I should have. I've learned over the years the importance of family. Let me tell you something. People may come and leave your ministry, but your family's gonna always be there. They're gonna be the ones that when you don't preach your best message, they still love you. When you don't say what everybody wants to have said, they'll still be there loving you. And even during this time that we're in, my family has been my greatest support. So never put the future of your ministry before the importance of being there for your family. Family's gonna always be there, whether you're pastoring or not. So stay committed to them first. Had I known, I would have listened.
Family, I know that you're enjoying this video. I want to say thank you for watching this video. But if you can, ministry is free, but it's just expensive to get it out. I need you to connect with Aos Inspires. I need you to sow into our ministry. Listen, we're traveling all over the states. We're traveling all over the 757, bringing you quality videos each and every week. That's not cheap. And it takes resources. That's why I need your connection. If you want to sow through Cash App, it's Aosinspires. If you want to sow through PayPal, it's Aosinspires. I promise you, with your seed, it's going to help reach the masses and also reach somebody that's never heard about Jesus Christ or that's feeling down or feeling depressed. With your seed, you're going to help us reach that person so that we can lift them up and fulfill our mission. That's to empower the world to never give up. And I want to say thank you for sowing into good ground. Aosinspires.
Had I listened, I would have listened to my wife when I first came into ministry. One of the hardest things that I had to learn in ministry as a leader that my wife would tell me is that you can't make everybody happy. As a minister, as a leader, you want to see everybody smile. You want to see people happy. You want to see people do right by you, because if you can make them happy, we think as a leader, it makes them easy to follow us. One of the things that I had to learn is that you may not like it, but you're going to be all right. And once I adapted that, it has made my ministry job as a leader a lot more easier, because I understand that I have a responsibility. And as long as I have that responsibility, I understand the same thing I learned when I was in the military. There's people's lives that are dependent upon me. But if I had learned then what I know now is that I can't make everybody happy, my ministry would have been a lot easier going into it. God bless you.
Wow, had I known, had I listened, I think my thing would be, had I known, had I listened, I would have listened. Growing up, you know, being a PK, I didn't embrace church. I didn't embrace the whole church dynamic. Now, my church that I grew up in, great church, amazing ministry, love it to pieces. But growing up in the pastor's house, I wanted to be normal. I fought against being different, being sanctified, because I wanted to be a normal child. Being the 9th child, the last child of my mom and dad, in a season when my father's ministry was literally peaking, I felt as if I was not important and not significant in the life of my dad. And I brought it to him and I approached him about it. And my father said something so profound to me. He said, "Son, I have been you, but you have never been me." The reality of what his statement was at that time, I didn't understand it, but now at 50 years old, the revelation of it all has come full circle for me. That in his position, he had never been what he was, so he didn't know how to be what I needed. And now that I am in this position, I can take notes from my father that I should have listened. Even if I didn't understand, I should have paid better attention to draw from that, because some things in life will begin to blossom in your mind, and you will have understanding as time goes on, and you won't always understand initially, but you have to trust the process of your maturity to bring light to your mind concerning what was shared. So had I known, had I listened, I would have definitely listened better than I listened before. And I corrected that, because whenever I'm in the presence of men who are achieved and have accomplished great things, I listen more than I speak, because I've learned that I don't know what I think I know. Had I known, I really would have listened.